If you ever doubted that the mission of special counsel Robert Mueller in the Russia investigation is to secure the scalp of a sitting president, then listen up. For the first time, real evidence, not of Russia collusion, but of the Mueller team's all-out war on our president, was played out in a federal courthouse in Virginia. The judge, United States District Court Judge T.S. Ellis III, took no prisoners in addressing the motivation and the intent, as well as the underlying authority of the so-called special counsel. Judge Ellis, a well-respected jurist, has handled some of the highest-profile national security cases in this country. His politics have never been questioned. He was born in Bogota, Colombia, served in the United States Navy, and graduated both Princeton and Harvard. The colloquy between this respected judge and prosecutor Andrew Weissman, whose ethics and integrity have been repeatedly attacked by federal courts for years, was astonishing, even to a veteran of the courtroom like myself. You'll recall that Manafort stands accused by Team Mueller in two separate indictments of money laundering, bank fraud, and lobbying crimes when he worked for the Ukrainian, not Russian government. Judge Ellis, no friend of Manafort, threatened that Manafort was faced with the real possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison. He told Manafort that given his financial means as well as his international connections, that he posed a substantial flight risk from justice. But yesterday, as Manafort's team sought dismissal of Mueller's indictment based on lack of jurisdiction, the court did a 180, accusing the prosecutors of not only trying to take down the president, but of trying to wield unfettered power. Now, you may recall that it was in May of 2017 that Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein signed an order appointing Mueller special counsel to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election and related matters. Ironically, in the order, Mueller is authorized to conduct an investigation generated by Director of the FBI James Comey's House Intelligence Committee testimony. Isn't it curious that it was Rod Rosenstein who wrote the 2017 memo saying that Jim Comey should be fired, saying, quote, the FBI's reputation and credibility have suffered substantial damage affecting the entire Department of Justice. Rosenstein adding, he doesn't understand Comey's refusal to accept the nearly universal judgment that he made serious mistakes in the handling of the collusion and conclusion of Clinton's email investigation. That Comey was, according to Rosenstein, a textbook example of what prosecutors and agents are taught not to do. He adds that prosecutors from different eras and both political parties agree that Comey violated the rules and regulations as well as the traditions of the FBI, ending with his recommendation that, quote, the FBI is unlikely to regain public confidence and congressional trust unless Comey is gone. And yet, in the most blatant display of public corruption and personal cover your own butt, Rosenstein appoints both Comey and his friend Mueller to begin an investigation generated from the disrespected, tainted testimony of the same man that he wanted fired. But it gets worse. The so-called Russia collusion investigation is then secretly expanded by Rosenstein months later. So why is this important? Because Rosenstein is adding more authority than we knew he initially gave. So why does Rosenstein even have so much power? He has irrefutable power, more than the president himself, some would say, because he convinced a dithering, unsure, insecure, uncertain, spineless, timid attorney general just appointed by the president to back off and renege on his duty to run the Department of Justice. And lo and behold, Rosenstein, who has his own bias against Trump, having just a day earlier been rejected by Trump to run the FBI, His interest, though, is far beyond that job. His interest is to protect his handling of a case ultimately permitting Hillary Clinton to get approval to sell 20% of America's uranium to Russian interests. So enter Judge Ellis, a take-no-prisoner judge who has seen it all. He tells Rosenstein's henchmen, do you even have the power to indict Manafort? Aren't you overstepping your authority to investigate Russia collusion during the 2016 presidential election when you indict Manafort for actions 11 years prior to the election? What does 2005 have to do with the 2016 election or the 2017 firing of James Comey? And in their inimitable way, the arrogant, almighty Mueller team responds in an open courtroom to a federal judge. We have additional powers. We cannot disclose them in this courtroom because of an ongoing investigation and because it will affect national security. The judge suggests Mueller's people are lying about the investigation and seeking the unfettered power to unseat our president, simply using Manafort to sing against Donald Trump. Quote, come on, man, you don't care about Manafort. You really care what information Manafort can give you to lead to Mr. Trump and an impeachment. The Mueller team then refuses to show their authority. Judge Ellis demands to see the Rosenstein secret memo, unredacted, of course, the one that House Republicans have sought for months, saying that information from 2015 is not within the scope of that investigation. We don't want anyone with unfettered powers, said the judge, making fun of and paraphrasing the prosecutors. The court sums up the Mueller team argument, quote, we said this is what the investigation is about, but we're not bound by what we said, and we're lying anyway. By saying that their authority is not judicially enforceable, the Mueller team is basically telling a United States federal judge that their authority cannot be challenged through the courts. It's time to end the Mueller, Comey, Rosenstein cabal for once and for all. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, hashtag Judge Jeanine. And joining me now, attorney for President Trump and former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani. Thanks so much, Mr. Mayor, for being on Justice.
Judge, always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. I want to get to some of the confusion regarding what happened over the last couple of days. But first, I would like to get your reaction to my opening statement, specifically these special prosecutors refusing to hand over the authority for their expanded investigation. What say you?
Well, we've not been able to get that from them either. And, of course, they developed that whole Cohen investigation and gave it away. And I think the judge was rightfully confused about why did they give away Cohen but not Manafort. So, I don't know, maybe they think Manafort's somebody they can flip faster. The fact is, this all plays into what my client, the President of the United States, has been saying for quite some time. The judge, in sum and substance, said this is a witch hunt with a tremendous amount of government misconduct attached to it. And you're quite correct. Attorney General Sessions should step up and dismiss this entire investigation.
Well, you know, but what we've got is an attorney general who doesn't seem to be able to step up to much. But that's my opinion, and I'm not even going to ask you at this point what you think. My concern is when these prosecutors go before a federal judge in a federal district courthouse and basically say, we can't tell you, when the judge is the one who is deciding the propriety of that case and handling the case, where are we in terms of justice in this country and the power of the courts over unfettered power of these special counsel?
Well, it kind of gives the American people a glimpse of what we have to deal with day in and day out with the abuses, not so much of Bob Mueller, but of the people that work for him. I mean, they're way over the top. When you look at the questions they propound, what do you think? What do you feel? It's like, come on in and commit perjury. There is no evidence of collusion with the Russians. Gone. There's no evidence of obstruction of justice. Everything the president did, he has perfect authority to do under Article 2.
All right.
So what, they want him to do Martha Stewart for them. And I'm sorry, people, he's not going to do that.
Martha Stewart and Clemens. Lying. But before that, I'd like to talk about what happened this week. There's been a lot of discussion about what you said on this network regarding payments from Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels, what the president knew or didn't know, what he paid or did not pay. Can you please clear this up for us?
Sure. The end result is real simple, and that's all we're interested in. The president of the United States did not in any way violate the campaign finance law. Every campaign finance expert, Republican and Democrat, will tell you that if it was for another purpose, other than just campaigns, and even if it was for campaign purposes, if it was to save his family, to save embarrassment, it's not a campaign donation. And second, even if it was a campaign donation, the president reimbursed it fully with a payment of $35,000 a month that paid for that and other expenses. No need to go beyond that. Case over. That case should be dismissed by the Southern District of New York, at least with regard to President Trump.
Okay, so did you misspeak, or did people not interpret what you were saying? Were you talking about the facts, or were you talking about the law, Mr. Mayor?
I'm talking about the law and the conclusion. The facts. I'm still learning. This is 1.2 million documents. I've been in the case for 2 weeks, virtually 1 day in comparison to other people. So I'm not an expert on the facts yet. I'm getting there, but I am an expert on the law, and particularly the campaign finance law. I've lived under it running for president. And the fact is, there is no way this is a campaign finance violation of any kind, nor was it a loan. It was an expenditure, and this expenditure would have been made whether he was running for president or he wasn't running for president, and we can show that from the history of these two gentlemen. And Mr. Cohen has probably been the worst treated, and Mr. Manafort, in this case. The raids on their house, Comey got really offended when I said it was stormtrooper tactics. I think the judge basically said that, maybe a little more eloquently than I did. But after all, I'm a litigator in there fighting for my client and some of the people around him.
You know, when we talk about what happened, as you described it as stormtroopers, I mean, going into someone's house at 5 in the morning, or, going into someone's hotel room, pulling a phone out of his hand, as they did with Michael Cohen. I mean, when you juxtapose that against the so-called investigation of Hillary Clinton, where she was basically given a warning, she deletes, she bleach bits,
Nice. Poor little Hillary. We got to be nice to her. We have to, no under oath.
Right.
We'll take that now. No under oath, no Q&A, just notes, FBI 302s.
Right.
And how about the report written by that phony Jim Comey before he even interviews her? What the hell was the interview for, Judge?
You know what? I'm going to ask you. You ran a prosecutor's office. I ran a prosecutor's office. But I mean, you're federal. I mean, you are renowned for what you did in the Southern District of New York, the premier district.
I hired that clown.
I know you hired that, and I wish I had more time to talk about that. But you and I both understand that there are certain things that are done and certain things that are not done. And when you decide that you're going to break into someone's home or you're going to invade the attorney-client privilege, there have to be extreme circumstances. This investigation went from Russia collusion to obstruction. Gone. The president, Article 2, makes it clear the president. Okay, now who's chasing, porn stars and stuff? I mean, why are we even going in this direction? And why are we not ending this? Because there is no evidence that's been unearthed, unless I'm missing something regarding any of that stuff.
You're not missing anything. We're not missing anything. We turned over the documents, after all, and I'm in the process of getting through about a third of them so far. There's no evidence of any of the things you're talking about. The only evidence there is, the only crimes committed here have been committed by the government, which is why the Judge Ellis, is so outraged. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't dismiss this case the way the case of Senator Stevens was dismissed, unfortunately, after the man died.
Right. And that is part of the frustration we have here. But if, as the judge appears to be saying, like, give me the reason for the basis for your jurisdiction, how it is that you go into a grand jury and get an indictment. If there is no power that is connected to the 2016 election or the firing of James Comey, then how can they possibly have the authority to indict Manafort? Why wouldn't Ellis dismiss this indictment?
Now, I don't know since they won't share it with us either, or with the White House counsel's office, I don't know what their authority was. But the judge has every right to see it. After all, this was not statutory authority. A U.S. attorney like I was has the statutory authority to recommend an indictment.
Right.
So you've got to get it from Rosenstein. Well, they have a right to see it. And the judge also has a right to determine they went beyond that, even if Rosenstein attempted to give it to them. He also has a right to determine that by government misconduct, they have fatally tainted this case. And I believe in my heart that the Supreme Court will decide that. So I think Judge Ellis probably is tough enough and strong enough to decide that himself.
All right, Rudy Giuliani, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
And you got Victoria Tenzing, and she'll take you through the presidential immunity better than I can.
She certainly knows her stuff. Mr. Mayor, thank you, and counsel to the president. Take care.
So the world's looking pretty good. North Korea's calming down. No ISIS. Unemployment at its lowest in ages. Trump had a great meeting with that Nigerian guy. I think he wrote me a long email once. I sent him 10 grand. Never heard from him again. Wonder what happened. So while the world seems to improve, the media keeps focusing on the worst. The New York Times, get this, they ran an article this week titled, "Happy 200th Birthday, Karl Marx. You were right." Too bad he can't read it. He's dead. But what a strange thing to say. I guess the tribute to John Wilkes Booth wasn't ready yet. And where is the Lizzie Borden centerfold? But as the writer glorifies the dead commie, we here don't believe the Times went far enough. So we created a real salute.
Happy birthday, Karl Marx. You co-wrote the Communist Manifesto, which is right up there with the Unabombers for the best manifesto of all time. Its basic tenet that capitalism leads to class oppression and will eventually be superseded by a socialist order. Sweet! In fact, it was such an awesome idea that a bunch of countries tried it, like Lenin's Soviet Union, featuring mass imprisonment, Mao Zedong's China, with widespread famine, Castro's Cuba, featuring animal-powered farm equipment, and Maduro's Venezuela, toilet paper lines for days, plus a bunch of other countries that don't exist anymore, like East Germany, Yugoslavia, and Czechoslovakia. Talk about a most excellent run. And there's even communist nations still around today, like North Korea, but they won't admit it because it's so successful they don't want to rub it in the rest of the world's faces. So here's to you, Karl Marx. Happy 200th birthday, bro.
Nice. Well done. So, we just whipped that together. So as the world enters an optimistic age, the media still chases words and not deeds. The latest freak out, what Trump said about what Giuliani said about, you guessed it, Stormy.
It was staggering. We keep saying that.
And it's very confusing. I've never seen anything like it.
It is astonishing.
I think this is disgraceful.
It's astonishing.
It's stunning. Just stunning.
That was a disaster.
Other members of the legal team are, and this is not actually a legal term, freaking out.
Hush, hush, sweet Stormy.
What's wrong with these people? You know what they're like? They're like kids who ate all of their Halloween candy in one night. They're just overloaded. They're going to end up with a DTO, which is a Donald Trump overdose. But they can't stop. CNN has had Stormy's lawyer on 60 times in 3 months. He gets more airtime than pollen.
I think it probably will be hard to prove, Anderson. You got to stop interrupting me. The cover-up is really the con. Whoever the attorney is that wrote those 2 tweets is an absolute moron. There's no doubt that he's going to flip. You can try to put lipstick on the pig morning, noon, and night, and it's still going to be a pig, Don. I was stunned. I was speechless. I'm still stunned this morning.
Every day, he's speechless, which is weird because he never shuts up. How is that possible? But fair play to him. He's got CNN in his back pocket, and he won't stop farting. I thought about taking that out. Now remember, Now, remember when it was all about collusion? But now even MSNBC has doubts. This is great.
As for the Mueller investigation, I am very, as an American, as a citizen, I'm fascinated to know what he finds. I'm not so sure that he's going to find the smoking gun of coordination or collusion.
Oh, my God. MSNBC not sure about collusion? That's like Michael Moore not sure about pie. He likes pie. Can't change his mind on pie. So it's stormy this and stormy that from people who used to say, who cares? It's only sex. The lesson, if you lose an election, why not sue afterwards? It's the political equivalent of Tanya Harding taking out Nancy Kerrigan. And the media and the Dems are Jeff Gillooly and Sean Eckert. The Dems push the message, the media spreads it, and their collusion broadens. It's a self-perpetuating echo chamber, and the echo is impeach, because there are no Democratic ideas to counter Trump's successes. I mean, how do the Democrats top ending the North Korean nuclear threat? What would be their issues? Free health care for MS-13? Horses should be able to marry sheep? I'm for that, actually. Love is love. All right. And so in a sprint, Trump made the world better for 7.6 billion people. And the question plaguing the media's brain, did a rich billionaire playboy lie about sex? I think I can save them a year of programming time and say yes. Next question. Does America care? No. See, you can look at this latest stormy stuff two different ways. One is a lawyer. Trump's allowed to pay a settlement, didn't use campaign funds, nothing to do with collusion. Or you could look at it as a voter. You care more about peace than porn stars, deeds more than words. And Trump's racked up a bunch so far, which brings us to this choice. Do you want a wholesome but inept president who never could have crushed ISIS or figured out North Korea? Or have a cad who crushes ISIS and figures out North Korea? I know what choice I made, and it's the choice America made already. Let us welcome tonight's guest. He's smart and tough like an encyclopedia that can kick your ass. Fox News national security strategist Sebastian Gorka. Oh, yeah. He puts the Terry in military. Retired Green Beret Master Sergeant in strange pants, Terry Shepard. Her BAC is always higher than her BMI. Great joke. National Review reporter Kat Timpf. That was mean? No, it was nice.
Wait, he's not done.
He takes selfies with the Hubble Space Telescope. Former WWE superstar and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right, Dr. G, we covered a lot of ground here in this monologue. I want you to what are you thinking about what happened this week? What's the end game here with the media and their attacks on Trump with Stormy? Where are you?
First things first, that little communism is cool thing, as the child of people who lived under communism and escaped, that's probably how we can get the millennials back.
Yes.
That was epic, epic.
Thank you.
The Foundation for the Victims of Communism did a poll recently. 44% of American millennials want to live in a socialist country.
Wow.
More than want to live in a capitalist country.
They should move to Vermont.
So, you know, things have to be done. That kind of video can help us. With regards to this week, you have to listen to what the president said yesterday at the NRA meeting. he relishes this stuff.
Yeah.
I've worked for the guy. This is his fuel.
Right, right.
This is a 71-year-old guy. I'm 47. If I had a quarter of that man's energy at 71, I'd be happy. 3 hours of sleep a night. He doesn't get annoyed by this stuff. It's his fuel. You come at him, he's going to come back at you even harder. So they're going to lose. The Jake Tappers, the Anderson Coopers, they're going to lose.
So you're 47?
Yeah.
I'm 6 years older than you.
Me too.
It's amazing.
We're old.
I thought you were like much older than me.
It's just the beard.
Just the beard, and also you're tall. I always think tall people are older than me. It's like I'm the size of a child. Terry?
They've been growing long. He has more rings if you cut him open.
Yes. Terry would try that, actually. Yeah. All right, Terry, how is the mainstream media going to handle when there's more and more good news?
They're getting crushed. It is funny. About the communism thing and about that poll, that makes sense because that, by the way, is by design. The communists knew, okay, we're not going to beat these guys militarily. We could get them with the educators. And so these guys, this makes sense because the people that are a product of this education system, they've been fed this and they don't know any better. When they get in the real world, they're going to figure it out quick enough. Because reality does that. I'm a combat special force guy. Reality does that. And I love the best thing. We were talking backstage. Backstage is where we were. It's backstage. Yeah, the green room.
Get to the point.
Now, not in love with your tone. But back there, we were saying that it is so much fun to watch. I call Donald Trump the flashbang candidate. Flashbangs are the grenades we throw in to blow up light, sound, and just we go in and then shoot you because you're stunned. Trump's a flashbang, and it's funny to watch how he has crushed these people, and they needed to be crushed. Yes. Dems and Republicans, media and academics, and it's being done by a guy who is callous, thin-skinned, ego-driven, and it's beautiful.
Yeah. He's flash bang, but I'm flash dance.
Yes.
Kat, thoughts on anything?
Look.
All right, I'll keep it to the topic instead of what I was really thinking about. No, there has been a lot of good news, but the media, what it does do is it just doesn't cover it. It just doesn't cover it because then that would mean they would have to admit that Donald Trump has actually done some good things, which he has. But instead, they just have Stormy Daniels stories on all day long.
Right.
And I don't understand what they are because I don't watch it.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of it. But what are they talking about for so long?
It's amazing.
They hooked up.
Yeah.
He lied about it.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
There you go. I just did the whole show.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. No, there's no. I don't understand. They're so shocked. These are people who said during the Clinton era that it's just sex are now just obsessed.
In the Oval Office.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? Not 10 years ago.
Yeah, and not just with a number of people. All right, Tyrus.
Greg.
And end this segment with some kind of wisdom.
Well, we're all socialists when we're younger until we get our own money.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I ain't sharing a damn thing. It's mine. They ain't told no jokes in this chair. Why should I have to give it up? But we're all socialists when we're unemployed on mom's couch. Yeah, share the wealth.
Yeah.
So it's your wealth.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we saw in Finland, they just retracted that. In Finland, they had that experiment.
Yes.
Yeah, universal basic income.
Fixed income for everybody in the population, whether you worked or not. And guess what? It didn't work.
Yeah.
Speaking of Finland, where did those boots come from? Those are.
I think they killed a yak.
Yeah. Must have been a pretty yak.
Yes, yes.
That's a good-looking
that's
But
nice.
Tyrus, that's not the problem. The problem is the flare of his pants.
You should see the jacket that goes with it. Yeah, get in that.
Do we have
Get
a
in on
close-up
that.
of Terry's
This
Terry's
is
got
old
issues.
meets new.
You call it a problem.
I
call it excellent.
You know, I hope they're flares because you're packing heat at the ankle.
Maybe I am.
Yes.